was a time when Pakistan and the Arab world were united against India. Today, India and the Arab world are united against Pakistan, and the free trade agreement between India and UAE proves this. Hi and welcome, you're watching TFI English, the national socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Tanya, and if you haven't subscribed to TFI English yet, please hit subscribe button and also click on the bell icon to receive all the recent updates. Coming back to the story, in this video, I'll tell you how the free trade relations between UAE and India will make Imran Khan run for his money. On Friday, the flourishing ties between India and UAE were put on display for the world to see. New Delhi and Abu Dhabi signed a free trade agreement which is set to reduce tariffs for 80% of goods and give zero duty access to 90% of India's exports to the UAE. The agreement is going to boost the volume of trade between the two countries to $100 billion within 5 years of its adoption, up from about $60 billion currently. Called the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or CEPA, the FTA will boost India's exports to the Gulf nation in several labor-oriented sectors including gems and jewelry, textiles, leather, footwear, sports goods, engineering goods and pharmaceuticals. According to Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal, annual exports worth about $26 billion from India that currently attract a 5% import duty in the UAE are set to benefit. For several years now, the Arab world has been bailing Pakistan's joke of an economy out. You see, Pakistan is a perpetually bankrupt and debt-ridden country. So it has adopted a strategy of repaying debts by taking upon its head more debt, albeit from different countries. The Arab world, especially Saudi Arabia and the UAE, have lost patience with Islamabad. Pakistan's ties with the Arab world are on a continuous downward spiral. The UAE is Pakistan's largest trading partner in the Middle East and a major source of investments and remittances. The trade volume between the two countries amounted to around $8.19 billion in the year 2019. By contrast, the UAE is India's third largest trade partner after the United States and China. Yet, the two countries are eyeing a cumulative trade volume of $100 billion in the next 5 years. When compared to Pakistan and UAE's meager $9 billion trade partnership, it does not take an astronomical genius to realize that Islamabad is an insignificant entity for Abu Dhabi. With its trade ties growing with India, UAE will be encouraged not to enhance cooperation with Pakistan. New Delhi's stance has been clear. Countries either have to choose India or Pakistan. For those who continue maintaining significant interest and trade ties with Islamabad, India makes no bones about its discomfort with such partnerships. So Imran Khan is in for quite a ride now. The UAE will systematically cut down its trade ties with Pakistan as its relation with India score a multi-billion-dollar upswing. The India and UAE agreed to fight terrorism and extremism. On Friday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed held a virtual summit after the signing of the FTA between India and UAE. They once again reaffirmed their joint commitment to the fight against extremism and terrorism, including cross-border terrorism at both regional and international levels. This was a direct attack on Pakistan because it is the only country in the region that pushes cross-border terrorism into India. The UAE has comprehensively rejected Pakistan's incessant Kashmir-centric attacks on India. Pakistan continuously tries to galvanize support for the Kashmir issue among Arab countries but is snubbed every single time. The UAE, for one, has even come forward and started investing in Kashmir. In the past few months, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and the UAE have signed memorandums of understanding for building strong business relations between them. The UAE is helping India develop Jammu and Kashmir with industrial parks, super specialty hospitals and other infrastructure projects in the Union Territory. Ties between India and UAE are growing from strength to strength, and Pakistan has no choice but to sulk in a dark and depressing corner.